There you are. Hello, Harvey.
Hi, Bruce.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I apologize. I'm a few minutes later than I should be. I'm doing back-to-back interviews today, and so I was just trying to finish up with my last one. And
All right, that happens. That
anyway, your
happens.
book is fantastic. Thank you for sending it to me.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really digestible. It's so easy to just pick it up and read a bit and put it back down. And it's really good. Simple ways to win at work and life. I think it's excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So do you have any questions before we start the interview?
How long is this going to be, and when will you be running it?
About 45 minutes.
Okay.
30, well, it's usually 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
I plan to publish on October 19th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's my date that I have down for your episode.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of right now.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, well, let's start it then.
Okay.
I better have a drink of water before we start, I guess. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Mindfulness Mode. Hey, Mindful Tribe. Today, we are going to be talking about emotional intelligence, and what a great topic that is. I'm here with an expert. He's a speaker. He's an internationally published author. He's written a book called The Other Kind of Smart: Simple Ways to Boost Your Emotional Intelligence for Greater Personal Effectiveness and Success. But he's written another book, which I've read, called Emotional Intelligence Game Changers. And this is a really, really great book to read when it comes to emotional intelligence. And it was just released in August of 2023. My guest is a regular contributor to Fast Company, and he's written 140 articles on that, and he's a TEDx speaker. I'm here with Harvey Deutschendorf. Harvey, are you in mindfulness mode today?
Yes, I believe I am. I'm
That's
being
good.
present.
That's good. So what does mindfulness mean to you, Harvey?
Well, mindfulness to me means being present, being aware, being open of in the moment, not thinking in the future or ruminating about things that happened in the past, but being present and just being right in the moment, and being aware of how you feel in the moment, being aware of your surroundings, just being all there.
Well, you've been talking about emotional intelligence for quite a while. And I said something to somebody about emotional intelligence a couple of days ago. And I said that I was going to be interviewing someone about this topic. And they said, "Oh, are they still talking about that?" So, so tell me about that. Was that a trend? And is it changing how people are looking at the concept of emotional intelligence?
It's really interesting when you mention there's people still talking about that. Yet I speak sometimes, and I speak to professionals, teachers, people like that all the time,
Yeah.
and I speak to people who haven't even heard of the term. So, you know, uh, but we're still talking about that. We're talking, there's a greater need now for emotional intelligence, I think, than there ever was.
I agree.
There's more and more talk about that, and as there should be, because with the artificial intelligence coming on,
Yeah.
and we need to it requires more, not less, human connection. So
Hmm.
because we're hardwired for connection, and with artificial intelligence, with all of our devices, everything that's going on, the changes happening in the world, everything is interfering with that connection, human to human. So a lot more talk, and there's a real demand for emotional intelligence during this time.
Well, we might as well start right there and tell us what emotional intelligence is.
Well, of course, emotional intelligence is our ability to recognize, differentiate, and manage our emotions and our emotions of others. That's sort of the standard definition of it. I like all of the definition. The last part, I'm not sure we can manage others' emotions as well as we can our own. But I know this, I know very well that we can influence the emotions of others by managing our emotions and the way we react to others. So we certainly can do that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it seems to me as though a lot of us, and I mean, I grew up in a family where we didn't talk about emotions, and that's not unusual. I interview a lot of people who say they grew up that way as well. Emotions weren't supposed to be a big part of our life, but the fact is, emotions are a big part of our life, right?
Exactly.
They're there to remind us of things and tell us how we're doing, and to help us. Really, we need to embrace our emotions, right?
We need to. They're with us all the time. I grew up in the same kind of a family. The only emotion that I saw expressed ever was anger.
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
that one.
yeah, that was okay. But everything else, you didn't talk about your fears. You didn't anything like that. Your vulnerabilities. And at one time in the workplace, it was expected emotions. You just left them at the door. Well,
Yeah.
you can't leave them at the door. They're part of you. It's like saying leave your foot at the door or whatever. They're with you all the time. You have to learn to work with them in
Yeah.
the most effective way that you can. There's you just can't ignore them. Otherwise, they'll create all kinds of problems for you. And they're meant to give us information, and we need to look at them in that way. They're giving us information that we can't ignore. We need to do something with.
Yeah. Tell us the topic of your TEDx talk.
TEDx was road rage, and that's sort of our interesting. And the topic was that beating road rage, because road rage is a real example of our emotions taking control over us.
Sure
Because,
is.
yeah, because basically we feel before we think. So that's an important thing, I think, for everybody. If people listening forget everything about our talk today, remember this: we feel before we think. It takes a few seconds before actually information that we receive. It goes from our feeling brain, our emotional brain, to our thinking brain. That's what happens in road rage when we get so upset. We're not able to think, because people ask this question. Well, he's
Yeah.
an
And
intelligent person. Why did he do something so crazy? Because what were they thinking? They weren't thinking. They
they
were
weren't
acting
thinking.
purely on their
Yeah.
emotions. Yeah, purely the emotions were in charge. Their thinking brain, their prefrontal cortex, their powerful thinking brain was not engaged at the time. So they reacted. They weren't purely from their emotions.
Yeah.
And
And to me, road rage is getting worse. Would you agree?
oh, I think so too. I think people are have less patience. Less patience, and I think that's part of our our technological society too. We want things right away. We're used to getting things right away, not waiting. So when there's heavy traffic, we can't get to where we want right away. Somebody cuts us off right away. We become angry. We become enraged. We've lost our ability to just relax and be patient. And I guess that's where mindfulness probably comes in. We have to build that ability up to be in the moment and just let things go through us, go over top of us, and not have to react to everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I do notice a lot of bullies on the road that just seem to roar right up behind someone and think that that's going to force them to move out of the way. And
Yeah,
wow, it doesn't always work.
no, and people feel invincible because they're behind this you know massive thing of steel around them, and they feel you know they feel safe. They don't be behind that, and that creates all kinds of problems.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mentioned in your bio that you had a bit of difficult upbringing. Tell us a little bit about that. Give us some background as to what that was like and how it led to you working in this field of emotional intelligence.
Sure. I'll just give you the brief sort of Cole's Notes version of that, because I could speak on that for hours. And it was my family were refugees after the Second World War, and they had left everything behind. They had, that borrow money from their church for passage to come to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so they had nothing. In the first 12 years, we lived in real absolute poverty. I remember my mother telling us that certain days my brother was born overseas, and he was 2 years old when he came over, and she was telling us on certain days she only had an orange to feed my brother and I don't remember that, actually. I must have been too young, which probably is a good thing. But anyways, my all the support that the extended family was left. They resettled in Europe and behind, and that, so we're kind of isolated. My father was very, very angry, and he got worse as he got older, and things and very very, very dysfunctional. We're always living on sort of walking on fear, that he
Yeah.
would be upset and angry, and it was a very stressful area. My brother really took, I think, the brunt of it. He had a emotional breakdown at the time. PTSD, we'd call it now. But anyways, he yeah, it was a very difficult time, and so I grew up in an environment where there's fear, you're taught to be suspicious of everybody's motives and everything, and I managed to get out of there, go to university, the first one in my family, because I envisioned a better world for myself. So I left, but I didn't have much of a support system. But things I didn't have the friends I wanted. I didn't have I was working as a professional, but I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing, and I didn't know what was wrong. I read self-help books, and so tried to figure things out, and nothing seemed to work. And then I read one day, is Daniel Goleman's book called Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. I thought, this is interesting. I picked it up, and on the first, on page 8, I think it said, one line said, all your intellect can come to naught when your emotions hold sway. And I said, that's it. This makes perfect sense. This is it. I was intellectually, I was smart enough. I mean, my principal, high school principal, told me that but my emotions were all out of whack. I had a trouble managing those emotions. I had lots of anger because of, my upbringing, that I was carrying around with me. So I read the book, and then I decided this is, I could use this. This could change my life. And I started learning everything I could about it. Emotional intelligence. I took some courses. I became certified. And then I joined a men's group called the Mankind Project, where we actually sit around and they actually share emotions. They don't, it's a place where men can feel safe to talk about things that really matter. So I started doing my own work, and eventually my life started to really turn around. And then I decided these are really powerful tools, emotional intelligence, and said somebody needs to write a book that can help people, that can help people use this information. So the books that were out there at the time, like Goleman and stuff, were mainly academic. They were theoretical, and didn't really give any real answers. Okay, now what do I do? People like me got excited about it, but if they didn't really provide any answers as to what we can really do, what we can use this for, it didn't help people much. So I said, somebody's got to write a book that's people can really dig their teeth into and really get some help from. So I said, well, I'm somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd actually written a book about men's issues before that, and actually somewhat to do with emotional intelligence, but I hadn't even heard the term by then. But anyway, so So I wrote a book like that and became the other kind of smart, and it just sent me on a whole this journey, and it became my mission to share the power of emotional intelligence with everyone. It sort of took over my life, and that's why I'm so excited about it, because I'm a living, breathing example of what emotional intelligence can do. It can really alter. It can really change people's lives.
Well, as I mentioned, I really like the format of this book and how digestible it is. Emotional intelligence game changers. So it's 101 simple ways to win at work and life. And you can just flip through and choose whichever tip you want. Actively manage workplace conflict is one of them. Work through negative emotions is one of them. Earn respect is. It's just really interesting to just glance through the index and think, oh, I'll just flip through and look at what he has to say about this. And they're very easy to understand and very applicable to, certainly to my life anyway. So I really appreciate how you were able to make this so easy to understand, because some people think about emotional intelligence and think it's this very complex, difficult to understand topic, but it really isn't, is it?
It's not. It doesn't need to be. At its core, it's very simple and very basic. But unfortunately, yeah, a lot of the writing has been come from a place of academia, and so but my whole mission was to break it down in a manner that is easy to understand, and, like you say, digest and use. And there's tips, on what you can do, just very basic, simple things that if you practice them, if you continue to
Yeah.
practice them, you'll see changes in your life, and you'll see immediately small changes, and those will just snowball, and eventually things will change.
Yeah. I like this one. Avoid behaviors that will sabotage your career. Did you ever have any behaviors that sabotage your career?
Oh, yes. Sure did. Yeah, yeah. I got into probably almost every one of them before I, learned about emotional intelligence. I was very much, I could exhibit very, you know, be critical. I could, basically things that certainly would keep me from being promoted. I'd be critical, and I could be, um, uh, all kinds of things like that. I could uh, criticize, maybe, my managers and things like that, and without going around and even getting involved in gossip at work, different things that I would just, abhor now. I
Yeah.
never do that,
Yeah.
but at the time, I didn't know I was probably in one of the people that was probably quite negative at work. So yeah, so yeah, I've learned a lot of in a lot of ways what not to be doing, uh, because of what I was doing in the past, and
Right.
no longer do. So able to turn that around and see what I was doing wasn't working. The old
Yeah.
song, yeah, it's a, so the idea that how's that working for you? Well, it wasn't working. That's why
No.
I needed to change it. But thankfully, I was aware that it wasn't working. That's the first step to change, changing things in your life, is the awareness, the self-awareness that, okay, this isn't working. I need to do something about it, and I need to change it, because without that awareness, we can't really move ahead, because we're not aware of how we're coming across. We're not aware of, the effect that our behaviors are having on others around us.
One of your chapters is called Become a Better Listener. How can we become better listeners, Harvey?
Well, that's a good question, Bruce. But one of the ways that I suggest becoming a better listener, typically, when somebody's speaking, we're not really listening. We're preparing a response to whatever they're
Yes.
saying. We're not really listening say.
Yes.
So one of the ways we can do that with somebody in our family, a good friend, what we do is we can just practice this little exercise. They will speak for 3 minutes, and our job is to make a game out of it, is to listen and then feedback, in our words, what we heard them say. We're not going to be responding. So, that we get that out of the way right away. We're simply going to feed back. If we practice doing that, we'll become aware of the importance of listening, because it's very important in any relationship that we become active listeners, that we really hear what others are saying, because when we hear what others are saying, they feel recognized. It makes them feel important to us, and we form connections with other people, which really, we develop trust. We form strong connections, which really is the basis of everything when it comes to our working world, when it comes to our all of our relationships, is that ability to form those kind of deep connections. So they trust us, they want to be with us, they want to spend time with us, they want to work for us, and they want to do things for us.
I have a feeling you could probably write an entire book on that topic.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I mean, for me, this listening was a difficult one because I have ADD. And
Okay.
yeah, so getting back to your mindfulness thing too, everything. It's a struggle to keep my mind silent, uh, when somebody's speaking. But I work at it. I focus on it and deliberate, and it's really improved over time. So
Mhm.
even with somebody has ADD, you can work on that. You have to really be determined and be focused. But
Right.
it does change. Yeah.
Harvey, when you're hired to work and go for like do work with a company, work with the employees, what sorts of things do you do? Do you do a speech, or do you go in there and you do a workshop with different activities? What does that look like?
Well, I do different. You can do a talk sometimes. I do a workshop, do activities, because emotional intelligence is really, it's not an intellectual um, a thing. Emotional intelligence is really experiential. We can't just learn about it. We have to experience it. So one of the things I do is something that I learned from being one of Jack Canfield's trainers. We everybody gets up and they ask each other questions, like they say they could ask the other person for something that you want. And his idea is that you ask. We a lot of times don't get what we want in life because we don't ask nearly enough. We're afraid to ask. We don't want to appear stupid, or where we're embarrassed and stuff. But we need to ask for things.
Mhm.
And so what I get everybody to do is ask somebody for something. It's of course it's hypothetical. They don't have to deliver that. You can ask for a cup of coffee. You can ask for $1 million. You can ask for a Lamborghini. And the how it works is the person that you're asking has to say, and you walk around and ask different people, has to say no 9 times. The 10th time, though, they have to say yes. And so the first person who gets 3 yeses, is sort of becomes the winner. And then I ask people, well, how did you feel when somebody was asking you for things? And said, almost everybody says, I wanted to say yes. I wanted to be able to help them. And that's sort of the common response. It feels good to be able to help someone. So when you're asking somebody for something, directions, whatever, it feels very, very good for that person to be able to offer you that. And think of it in terms of, when you're checking in to a hotel or something, ask for an upgrade, ask for a free upgrade, because the person that you're asking, has got probably, they're probably paid minimum wage. They probably
Mhm.
don't get a lot of acknowledgement, but if they can help somebody, wow, I can do this for a person. It feels really good. It feels good to be able to say yes. So everybody can experience that feeling. So it makes it easier to ask because they know what it's like for the person that is being asked. They can experience that feeling themselves. And we do a number of exercises like that where they get to experience the emotion behind an action, and it sort of helps them become more aware of what it's like for the other person that they're dealing with, and what it feels like for them.
Right. Yeah. I want to ask you a question, Harvey, about bullying and how maybe there's a story you have you can share with us where bullying and mindfulness intersected.
Well, I was bullied. I was junior high. I was in a time that there was a time there that there's some bullies. I was a target of some bullying for a while, and mindfulness. I was well afraid, and I was angry. I wish I could have been more mindful at the time. I'd known what I know today.
Mhm.
Um, I probably could have dealt with it in a in a better manner. I could have maybe, because bullies are actually people who have fear, that
Yeah.
they're insecure, and had knowing what I know today, I could have maybe um, used another tactic to deal with bullies. I could have tried to see why they were bullying, do something that would give them pause to make them stop and think. But of course, at the time, all I knew was anger and reacting to it. I wasn't aware of what I am today. So if I'm being would be bullied by someone, I would try to maybe understand where that person's coming from, and that might be a lot more effective, and I'd be able to deal with it better myself, process it, and do the breathing, do the wouldn't be as devastating as it was then. It was really frightening, and at the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very frightening when you're going through something like that. One of the things you talk about, Harvey, in your book is resilience. How have you learned to become such a resilient person?
Well, I've sort of I've never um, I keep going whenever I've had setbacks and failures, and lots of them in my life. And the thing is to get back and to keep going, and then to look. I focus on things that I've done, that I've managed to overcome, and I use those as for examples. And the other thing is resilience. So I I always have read a lot of stories about people who've overcome to become highly successful. There's a lot of them out there, how they
Yeah.
just kept going, despite everything. And so I've always keep that in the back of my mind, that there's people out there that we all know that Thomas Edison, failed 1,000 times to invent the light bulb, and he was ridiculed. And that's so many people's stories that are household names now, that they've kept going. And I try to always keep that in the back of my mind, that it's not it's not a dash, it's a marathon, and to keep going and try to learn something every time, that I've had setbacks and failures from it, and try to do things differently. Like, and then you're upset that, I mean, you get turned down. I mean, I was, but the other kind of smart, I was turned down
Were you?
publishers. And then I remember, yeah, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, I talked
Yes.
about, they were turned, the Chicken Soup series of the
Yeah,
publishing phenomena, they were turned down 144 times.
I
And
know.
whenever they talk, you will hear about it, the number
Yeah.
of times. That's part of their story. 144 times, and they even kept the letter that all their at the time, that when that started, it wasn't emails, it was letters. They kept all the letters, the rejection, and they built off that So it's part of my history too, and it makes you stronger when you can keep going actually over time. And because I knew eventually I would find a publisher. I believed it. I believed it with all my heart, and I knew that if I kept going, anything that I really wanted, that if I believed it really, and I just kept going, eventually it would happen. And so I take a day or two, got another letter rejection. Is there anything in that letter that's positive? Oh, okay, you need to do this and that. You need to, develop this and that a little more. Oh, okay, well, it's sort of, there is some success there because I'm getting some tips on how I can make it better. So yeah, this will bring me closer to my goal.
And how long between the time you started to write The Other Kind of Smart and the time that you got it published? How much
Well,
time went by?
it took about 4 years and revisions, and so finally, I had I found an agent actually, and that was the first step. And they took it on, and then found a publisher. And then the publisher came back to me, and I intended to make it a self-help book.
Mhm.
But at the time, it was business that was interested in emotional intelligence. It was all the books were targeted to business strictly. So the publisher came back and says, "Oh, this is good, but can you double it? We need some business examples in this, like so just
Oh,
so it was like doing another book. I had to double the but I did it. So I was so excited about finding a publisher that I was able to do it. I was very highly motivated. But about 4 years with revisions and
right.
setbacks, it took me. So it took a while.
And who was that publisher?
Well, the initial publisher was Amicon in New York City, and then it was the HarperCollins has now taken over the publishing arm of Amicon. They do more than just publishing. They do training, business training, and things like
Mhm.
that. But it's not HarperCollins, but originally Amicon.
I see. And is that who published your newest book?
No, the newest one, the Emotional Intelligence Game Changers, published by Dexterity, and based out of Nashville.
Okay.
Dexterity, yeah, Publishing.
Yeah. Well, it really is a fantastic book. So Mindful Tribe, I would recommend you get a copy of this book because it's just really an easy, enjoyable read, that's for sure. I want to ask you 5 quick answer questions, Harvey, as we move forward in the interview. And so just 30-second answers are perfect. The first question is this: who is one person who has been a really powerful mindfulness influence in your life?
Oh, I think John Kabat-Zinn, read his "Wherever You Go, There You Are." That's sort of been a huge influence on me.
Yeah, that's a great book. Yeah, me too. My second question is about emotions. So tell us how mindfulness has helped you deal with your emotions.
Oh, it's really caused me to. It's helped me really recognize my emotions right away, and helped me manage them. Mainly, it's kept them very much. The strong emotions that I would react to things. It's very much helped me deal with those and just let them pass. So yeah, we all experience emotions, but we can choose which ones to surf. And I surf the positive ones now. I let the
Right.
negative ones pass over just like a wave.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. You
Yeah,
surf the positive ones. That's
yeah,
really good.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about breathing. Do you have a comment about breathing and how you've maybe changed your thoughts about breathing?
Well, when I meditate, I do the still, I learned transcendental meditation
Yeah.
years ago, and I still use my mantra when I meditate. But the breathing, I breathe from my diaphragm deeply, and it's about 4 seconds,
Mhm.
and then I release it in four. I used to count to four, but now I can tell just when I'm breathing, if I'm, in that zone, so I'm very, very aware of my breathing. That's one of the ADD. Meditation can be a struggle, keeping the thoughts from running in your mind, but with the breathing, I can get into the breathing so much that I can block out thoughts now for periods of time, and that really feels good.
It does feel good for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, are there any other books you would recommend that are related to mindfulness or emotional intelligence or anything like that?
Well, I'm reading one right now, Bruce. That's very interesting. It's called "Letting Go: Pathway of Surrender" by David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD, and it's really interesting. It talks about the sort of the energy we put out, and from it talks about all the good emotions, the high emotions, and then the low ones would start with anger, and they go into shame and apathy, and then the high ones, acceptance, willingness, reason, and love. And it's a very fascinating book. I'm just getting into it, but finding it very interesting.
I love that book too. Yeah, that's an excellent book. Are there any apps at all that you've used or recommend that can help with this?
I haven't discovered those yet, Bruce, but I'll have to do some exploring in the area. But I'm still into the reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still into reading and those things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, because sometimes I think the best app is shutting off your phone, because we can get so into what's going on the phone and digitally, that it's best to just walk away and get out there and be in nature, walk around in the grass or in your bare feet and just really feel grounded. I feel like that's something that can help you with mindfulness more than anything that's on your phone at all.
Yes, absolutely. Call it nature bathing, is it called? Yeah, walking in nature and just getting lost in it. I have some really nice nature trails just outside of the condo that I live in, so I go for walks there. It's a nice time of year in the fall, and the smells and the birds and the squirrels, and yeah, just it's a great feeling.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So what's next, Harvey? Are you writing another book? Do you have another project on the go?
Well, I want to do some more speaking, Bruce, and
Uh-huh.
really trying to get into that now, and that's the next. I've done some, but just sort of people have found me. But I'm going to be amping up my speaking, and maybe releasing a course fairly soon, online course I've been working on for a number of years. I just haven't got around to finishing it, but that will happen fairly shortly. And yeah, so
Right.
expanding into those areas.
And do you have a timeline for that course when it'll be finished? Because I know your website is theotherkindsmart.com. That's one place where we can find you.
Yes, that's the well, the course should be, hopefully will be done before Christmas. Hopefully
Okay.
later in the fall. Yeah, I'll be doing the course, and then I want to start really amping up my speaking, and doing a lot more. But I really enjoy that.
Oh yeah, that's great. Will we be able to learn about that at that website, or will there be someplace
Yes.
else?
I'll put on when the course is out. We'll learn about it on the website, and also my speaking when I'm going to be speaking. I'll put everything up. People can sign up on the website. I have a newsletter too,
Mhm.
and they can sign up for that, and they'll get a really great downloadable book of motivational and inspiring emotional intelligence quotes. And on the newsletter, they'll learn everything about what's going on in my life, and what exciting things are coming up. So
Excellent. That's great. Well, I've sure enjoyed talking to you, and I really appreciate all the work that you're doing and that you're putting out into the world, Harvey. Thank you for that.
well, thank you very much, Bruce. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's really a pleasure.
Yeah, me too. All the best to you. Bye now.
Bye now. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay, great. Thank you, Harvey. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to you. And like I said, I enjoyed your book. Where are you located in the world?
I'm in Edmonton,
Oh, that's right.
Alberta, Canada. Yeah.
I did know that, and then I forgot. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're a fellow Canadian. Yes.
Yeah. Where are you
I'm
located, Bruce?
in London, Ontario.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I forgot that I was speaking to a fellow Canadian because most of my guests are from elsewhere, you know.
It was, I almost forgot that. I thought you're American. That's why I said Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, because all I have to do is say Edmonton. If I'd known you're Canadian, I wouldn't have to say anything else.
Yeah, yeah.
To Americans, I usually have
Oh
to go
yeah.
the whole distance. So
Oh,
where
for
is that?
sure.
Is that by Toronto? You know, a lot of them don't.
Yeah, Edmonton is right beside Toronto, isn't
Yeah, that's what they think.
it? And beside Vancouver, of course.
And I think the capital is Toronto. Yeah, beside Vancouver.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, it's great to talk to you, and way to go with all the work that you're doing and your TED Talk and all the stuff. Like, that's great.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah,
Do you
that's
have an agent to help you get the speaking jobs, or?
well. I've got a speaking coach, Bruce, and he's helping me, and have to up be able to learning about telling stories effectively. I've got good
Mhm.
stories. I just need to learn to tell them very
Yeah.
effectively so they connect and be able to put things together in my talks and
Mhm.
just work on that. That's the next challenge for me, is to become more effective as a speaker. I have the enthusiasm and excited, but I have to become more organized, more effective, and
Sure.
everything.
And who's your speaking coach?
It's somebody called Deborah Allen.
Okay,
Yeah, she's an American. So yeah, yeah,
that's good. Well, that's fantastic. I think it's awesome that you're going out there to do more speaking because, well, you've got your books to back you up and your TEDx talk. So you've laid the groundwork for this.
yeah. I've laid a lot of groundwork, and so now that's sort of the next step, because yeah, it's a financial, it's monetizing too, Bruce, because the books, when you have a publisher, your royalties, unless you're J.K. Rowling, you're not going to make a lot of money.
No, no.
No, so that's the other thing. I need to take advantage of all this, the foundations that I've built, and get out there. And I love traveling, and I love speaking to different audiences. So that's sort of the next stage.
So do
Yeah.
you want to do a lot in North America, or are you planning on doing a lot over in Europe, or what?
Well, I've done one in London, and it actually was just a virtual one. It was supposed to be live, and because it was during COVID came up, and
Mhm.
so actually a keynote. I'd like to do some of those. Yeah, I'd like to do some internationally, but I have a lot of contacts. There's a big interest in emotional intelligence in some of the Dubai and places like that, and and might be opportunities to speak there, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. It's a challenge, so open to new challenges, new learning and everything. It's very very, very exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think you'll do a great job with your speaking because you've got so much to back it up. Yeah. That's really great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for that. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
welcome. Is there
yeah.
any chance you could send me a copy of your book, like a hard copy?
Uh, Give me your address and I will. Or you
Okay.
could email it to me or whatever, if that works.
That works. Yeah, I can
You
email it
just
to you.
email it to me so that that'll be the easiest probably. Send it to me through email, and yeah, I would love to send you a hard copy.
Oh,
Sure.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd really like to have it because I like the digital copy, but I always like an actual hard copy of a book that I enjoy, like yours.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's just send me your
Okay.
mailing address, and I will get one to you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, this, like I said, this will go out on October 19th. And if you're able to share it out with your followers, that would be fantastic.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Well, you have a good rest of your day, Harvey.
You too. Thanks again, Bruce.
Take
That was
care. Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Bye.
know.